at Optic Splendor, who is the best trash talker in the league?
Well, the best trash talker in the league. I think you're a subscriber to this podcast. I hope I hope you're a weekly listener. And if you are, you get the opportunity to listen to the best trash talker in the league weekly. I don't think there's any better trash talkers in the league than me, and I stand on that. Like Pepsi, I guarantee it. You heard what Frank Lucas said. I stand by my product. I guarantee that. No, but I think there is some guys who are good trash talkers. I always tell people, and they don't. I think you started to realize it now with like the more he talks on Twitter or the more he's caught saying stuff to fans in the stands. KD, I've always told people like KD was one of the biggest trash talkers to me since I came into the league. Like always have been. But he wasn't always like outwardly to where you could see it. But if you played against him, you knew, and it would be like disrespectful stuff. Like, hey, who is this? KD would turn the dude around, like trying to look at the back of his jersey, like see his name on the back. Like K would say stuff to people, and you like, yo, you Kevin Durant. Like, there's not really much I can say back. Like, what are you going to say back to Kevin Durant? I always had something to say, and I probably said something first, knowing me. But KD was one of the biggest, and KD got like these one-liners, like, oh, he drunk at the bar. Like K hit somebody with a cross. Hey, he drunk at the bar. You know, like.
That's a good one.
Like, K got one-liners for days. Like, I play dominoes a lot. E40 got crazy one-liners. Gary Payton got crazy one-liners. Like, KD got one-liners for days. And so I think if I'm not going with myself, I would have to say KD for sure.
It reminds me of the way you're describing it, kind of like Larry Birdish, where it's just like he's always like, who is guarding me? Like what? Like, who is this that you're sending at me? You know?
Who are you? And again, what were you going to say to Larry Bird? Like, oh, you're not nice. Like some dudes talking, you like, bro, you trash. Like, why are you talking to me? Like, but like Kevin Durant talking, like, what are you going to say? Like, bro, you can't dribble. Like, you can't shoot. Like, you can't check. Like, what are you going to say? You got to be real creative. And so for me, you know what I'm saying, I can create now. Like, and so I can go there with him. But like Larry Bird, like what are most people going to say? Like, if you're not witty enough to just come up with comebacks like that ain't got nothing to do with, oh, bro, you suck, or like, or you can't do this, or you can't, like, if you ain't witty enough to come back with to have comebacks that's not like those things, then you screwed. And so I think that's definitely a good comparison. For what I know of Bird, right? Like, I never played against Bird. For what I've heard, what I've seen, I think it's a pretty good comparison. And obviously, two great basketball players.
Yes, sir. Next one from at Jake Vias Mingo. Who is your favorite player to guard?
My favorite player to guard. My favorite player to guard is also KD. And the reason my favorite player to guard is, I think for me, that's the toughest challenge. Is like, what can I do to make it hard on Kevin Durant? He sees right over the top of me. He's 7 feet. He's probably a little quicker than me. He's probably a little more athletic than me. He's probably a little faster. So I'm supposed to lose that challenge. Like, I'm supposed to lose that battle. What can I do to change that outcome? Can I take on that challenge that we all fail at? And can I be successful in taking on that challenge? Like, I think for me, guarding the best and taking on that challenge of the best scorer to do it, like, that's fun. Like, I enjoy that. And more importantly, I get better guarding him, because if I can do some things against him, like, that opens up some things for me to be able to do against anybody, you know? And so I think you always want to play the best, and you like always want to like take on that challenge of the best. And I think Kevin Durant is the greatest scorer we've ever seen. To have the opportunity to guard that guy is incredible. And so I'd have to say that's my favorite guard, because how often do you get to say I guarded the best or I went head to head with the best at said thing. Like, you don't get to say that often. So, I've had times where, like, I played good defense on him. I've also had a time where he put 54 up on him. Like it just is what it is. But I enjoy the challenge because it doesn't get any better than that when you talking about scoring the basketball. Joined a little later by longtime teammate, champion, NBA Finals MVP, All-Star. And what you'll find even more interesting on this episode, venture capitalist, my teammate, Andre Iguodala. But first, we are going to talk about last night's game, the Warriors versus the Suns, which I guess people may have enjoyed it. I didn't quite enjoy it that much, but nonetheless, I did enjoy the atmosphere. It was an incredible atmosphere. It was playoff-like atmosphere, and it's the ones that you love to play in and you get up for. Obviously, Tuesday night in the association, number 1 versus number 2 in the West, in the NBA, actually. A matchup that we could definitely see sometime down the line in May. So it was a very important game. And obviously, Phoenix took the game. My assessments on the game, I think number 1, you got to give Phoenix a lot of credit. Their defense was very stellar last night. I think they did an incredible job on everybody, making it tough. They made the plays they needed to make down the stretch offensively. And in saying all of that, we were on the road with 24 turnovers. And yet with 2.5 minutes to go, I had a left-hand layup streaking down the middle of the floor with a chance to cut it to 1. And so in saying that, I love where we are still as a team. I'm not sure you will find a game where myself, Steph, and Wiggs will play worse than we played last night. And like I said, we still had a chance to win that game right down the stretch, 3 minutes to go. Got to give a lot of credit to Chris Paul. He did what Chris Paul does. He carries his teams. Deep Book went out towards the end of the first half. And Chris Paul just did what he does. He carries teams. He makes timely plays. He gets everybody involved. He picks and chooses when he needs to get his shot going, and he did that last night. And one thing about Chris Paul that's interesting, and other guys in this league, is when you talk about winners, we all tend to turn to the guys who's won championships. And don't get me wrong, winning championships is extremely important. Like, you want to win championships. You play sports, you want to win championships. It's the holy grail. It's what we're all playing for. You want to be the last team standing. But Chris Paul is one of those guys that's interesting where he has not won a championship. Last year was his first year, year 16, I think, playing in the NBA Finals. But I personally think Chris Paul is a winner. Like, he wins year in and year out. I mean, they sent him to OKC to pretty much lie on his deathbed. Not only did he not lie on his deathbed, he took that team to the playoffs. Because he did so well, Sam Presti worked with him to get him to a situation that he wanted to be in. And now we see what he's doing with the Phoenix squad. And so that's just an interesting thought that I have. And when I'm just sitting and dissecting basketball, dissecting careers, dissecting resumes, that's one that's always interesting for me. And like I said, that's Chris Paul. But that's not only Chris Paul. There are other guys in this league who, Jimmy Butler, who's won everywhere he's gone, never won a championship, but he's a winner. Like, he's made teams win everywhere he's gone. And so, that's just an interesting thing to me, especially when you get into the debate of Hall of Fame and all-time greats and NBA 75 lists, all of these things. That's an interesting one for me. But like I said, back to the game, I thought our defense was pretty good in the first half. Thought we could have definitely cleaned up some things, and then obviously in the second half as well. But again, it all goes back to, you have 23 turnovers. Can you get your defense set? Like, how many times do we get a chance to actually set our defense? You couple that with the shooting nights that we had, you're kind of in transition all night. And so I like where our defense is. I think will continue to get better. And I think for the most part, like I said, with all of that went on last night, we still gave up 104 points. And granted, they didn't have D-Book in the second half, but that's a good basketball team, and they just keep it rolling. And that's what they did last night. DeAndre Ayton played really well. I thought he was extremely aggressive from the very beginning of the game. He continued that on throughout the entire game. He had a really good game. Jay Crowder had a good game. Hit a couple threes in the first quarter, and then it was in foul trouble for pretty much the rest of the half. But hit some big threes in that second half last night that kind of catapulted them to the win. So they had a mixture of guys playing well. Mikal Bridges defensively was an animal. I mean, he was incredible defensively. All their guys were really good defensively. They were really good defensively as a team, but Mikal Bridges, who's the head of the snake for them, I thought he did an incredible job defensively of just chasing Steph around, being in passing lanes, clogging up the lane when he had the opportunity. I thought he did a really good job. That takes us to Friday's matchup, which I am obviously excited about. Home and home. They were home. Now we got an opportunity of them coming into our house. You never want to lose 2 in a row, so you want to right the ship. Our guys also know what to expect now, although I thought guys really stepped up to the challenge. But you've seen this team now. You know what to expect. And coming back Friday, we expect a better outcome. And also in this weekend, NBA news, but Warriors news, we got a chance to see Klay Thompson. I know everyone's seen the highlights flying around from him scrimmaging with the Santa Cruz Warriors. And man, was it beautiful and exciting to see him moving the way he's moving, shooting the ball the way he was shooting it. But more importantly, seeing him happy, seeing him with a smile on his face because he's getting the opportunity to do what he loves to do, which is play basketball. If you know Klay Thompson, he loves playing basketball, he loves Rocco, and now he loves his boat. We all saw him last week sitting on the bench with the towel over his head after the game and just having a moment. And we all sympathize with him. And saying that, and like I said, and seeing him back on the court this week in action and actually playing and competing, such a beautiful thing. It definitely gets us even more excited to get him back into the fold, one step closer to having our full team and really making a run at this thing. If, like I said, it feels good. The vibe around the team feels right, from the front office to the ownership group, the front office, the coaching staff, players, training staff, video staff. It just feels great. And obviously winning helps. Winning cures all, as we like to say in this business, but it's a beautiful thing. So looking forward to the problem of incorporating Klay back into the lineup. We obviously have started off great, and that's a great problem to have. You incorporating a Hall of Famer, an NBA champion, one of the best snipers we've ever seen in NBA history, one of the better two-way players we've seen in a long time. I can't wait to add him back to the fold. And obviously, as a facilitator, Pastor's Paradise just get better. So I am thrilled and was extremely thrilled and happy to see those highlights as we all got a chance to see this weekend, and just him really doing his thing and looking like Klay Thompson. Obviously, I'm not expecting him to come back and hit his first shots when he returns. I am not expecting him to come back and even look as great as he did the other day, although that's what we witnessed, because I just don't think it's fair to put those expectations on him and the road that he's had. You let him gracefully return and come into his own as his body allows. And so that's what I'm looking forward to. Like I said, it was beautiful and exciting to see on social media. And they had obviously showed us the clips before they hit social media, but it was beautiful to see. I'm extremely happy for him and happy for everyone who's affected by that. You always hear people come up to us and say, man, I've been through some tough times, but the one constant in my life is the Warriors has brought happiness to my household. And so all the people that's been affected by that, and you have great success and you do things in the community and people really draw an attachment to you. And when you draw that attachment and you have that attachment, Klay Thompson has done a lot for this community, a lot for this organization. When he go down, you feel that, and so I'm happy for everyone involved, but most importantly to Klay, for Klay, who's been the one who's had to endure the rehab sessions, the pain, the surgeries, the doubt. I'm extremely happy for him. Couldn't be more thrilled.
I'm curious about what you said, how it's an interesting problem to have incorporating Klay back to this roster, because assuming Klay is coming back as a starter, which I feel like is a fair assumption, that means either Jordan Poole or, if you guys go small, Kevon Looney are going to the bench, which is an interesting situation to have, especially considering how well Jordan's been playing. So how do you anticipate that working for Jordan, assuming he's the guy that's going to be moved to the bench? Do you anticipate him having any trouble with that? I feel like it works as him in the 6-man role, but it's still a pretty big change.
It's definitely a big change. I think no matter what, and I say this with my analyst hat on, my podcast host hat on, not from my actual being as the basketball player that does play for this team. I say this strictly from just a basketball standpoint and not having any knowledge on the situation, because it's not something that we've spoke about, myself as a leader of this team with Coach Kerr, or with Coach Kerr just amongst the rest of the team. Like that, it hasn't been mentioned once. And so I don't have any more knowledge other than what I think could possibly happen, which is what you just said. Does Jordan move to the 6-man? What I do know is, and I don't know this because someone's told me, I know this because I'm not an idiot, whether Jordan's coming off the bench or starting, he's going to play 30 minutes a night. And so that's going to remain constant regardless. Does he continue to start? Do we go small and move me to the 5 and Kevon moves to the bench? I'm not sure what that looks like, because obviously Loon isn't scoring 30 on a given night or 20 on a given night like Jordan is, but he is extremely important to our lineup. What he does on the defensive end is incredible. And what he does as a screener on the offensive end is incredible. And so, one of those guys that just always in the right place, know what to do, cover for other guys, just really has a thorough understanding of the game. If Kevon was to move to the bench and then I move to the 5, that also changes our defensive lineups as well, And so I think there's a lot that needs to happen. I think Coach Kerr will definitely tinker with the lineup some, because you have to figure it out, right? You have to figure out, like, what's best? Like, what's our best lineup? And by the way, you may then figure out that our best lineup, we don't want to start the game with that lineup. Like, there's so many things as a coach and directions that you can go. But as I said, that's a good problem to have. And when I say good problem to have, and as far as incorporating Klay back into the lineup, that's because the one thing that we do have is depth. And we've shown that throughout the course of this year. So that changes the rotations. With Klay coming back, it's just naturally going to change the rotations. And so when I say the problem of incorporating him back into the lineup, by all means, don't ever think it's a bad problem. It is a problem that we have to face, because now you have to change the rotations. You have to then figure out which lineups works with the way that you want the rotations to flow. And so it's not just like, oh, you plug him back in and things are just what they were. Like, you have to do some figuring out. And so when I say good problem, that's what I mean. It's just like, we have some things to figure out once he gets back. And that's the good issue. And other news around the association, we have a brother of mine, a close friend, a guy who I won a gold medalist with, DeMarcus Boogie Cousins, signing with the Milwaukee Bucks. I am extremely thrilled for him to sign with the Bucks, because Cousins had a tough go since the injuries, and obviously that's something that none of us can forecast. Obviously, that's something that we all face the risk of and playing and doing what we do. And you never want to see a guy go down to injuries, which has changed the course of his career. But to see him get another opportunity to continue to show that he's still an NBA player, as I think he's shown in each stop that he's had over the last couple of years, is that he's still an NBA player. No, he's not DeMarcus Cousins that's still getting 30 and 20, but he's still DeMarcus Cousins that can be more productive than a lot of big men that are in the league. So to see him get the opportunity to go to the defending champs and just be DeMarcus, play his game. Obviously, I mean, even with the Clippers, you can see the growth in him as a player, not getting technical fouls like he was, not getting hung up on things that he can't really change, just playing his game. And so to see him with the opportunity with the Bucks, I'm thrilled. I'm always happy for him and Morgan, and just having the opportunity to continue his career and do what he loved. We all have a very finite window of time to do what we love to do and